Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
What's up, YouTube? I'm back. Wraithyn here. I brought a friend with me. Those of you guys know Wowy from Team Obey. He's a professional ADC. Professional being the operative word there. I don't know shit about the long lane, and I made the beginner guides. I've played a lot of solo, played a lot of support, played a lot of jungle. I don't know anything about ADC, so when I wanted to put together a beginner guide for you guys, I need some help. So thank you for joining. I bribed him with food. He agreed. Was it at least good?
It wasn't. Ducky cooked it.
Right, Ducky cooked it. I taught Ducky how to cook, and it was. We should have ordered pizza.
Yeah,
we should have ordered pizza.
Really should have.
But anyway, for those of you guys who have not seen one of these tier lists before, this is for new players to the role or to the game. If you're an experienced player, if you're Wowy, this does not apply to you. This is for somebody who gets stuck in this role. Maybe I queued jungle, I queued mid, I queued support, and I ended up with the carry role, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want to be the reason my team loses. So this is kind of a guidepost for, hey, what can I play to give myself the best chance of success, right? My dog is very excited about the tier list tonight. She's been quiet all night except for literally right now. So let's dive in. Thank you again for joining.
Welcome.
And glad to have you here. The dog is protesting. Starting off with the top tier, you can disagree with me, you can agree with me. I think Izanami and Jingwei, if you're gonna play ADC at all, and you don't have a clue what you're doing, these two are where you should start every single time. What are your thoughts there?
I agree. They're very, very easy. All you have to do is sit in lane. The lane's pretty much pushing for yourself. If you're Izanami, or if you're Jingwei, you're always in lane. You get poked out, you can come back to lane. You're always in lane to get the farm. Two characters, you're chilling. You're fine.
Yeah, I think that the two things that when you grade an ADC and how well they work here, is when an ADC is behind, they're completely useless. If you're a couple levels down, you don't have any impact at all. So one of the reasons I prioritize these two gods is it is impossible to fall behind if you're playing Jingwei or Izanami. Izanami can clear the wave by herself with no support at level 1 for the entire game with only losing a few creeps to the tower, right? So, if for some reason you get left alone, if for some reason you have to sit under your tower, you always have pressure. You always have good clear with Izanami. She's got a dash. She's got self-peel. She's got a slow. But the great clear is the reason that I like her, because at the end of the day, in the carry role, it's about not falling behind. Jingwei, same thing because of her passive. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. On to the S plus tier. Guys, ignore these ranks, right? I almost feel like cropping them out sometimes because I get comments and people are like, oh, SS? Like, what are you talking about? They're not broken at all. This is just a guide. This is just a list. Like, this tier is what you should play if you're brand new. Second tier is kind of something you can flex into. Third tier is if you're feeling adventurous. And then from there is really just if you're comfortable, right? So ignore the tiers on the left-hand side. We're just going down of what we think the most useful gods are for the newest players. All right, moving on to the next one. Medusa, Neith, and my boy Apollo. So very different reasons for these three. I have mine. What would yours be? You want me to go first?
You can go.
All right, so the reason I had these two here in particular, Medusa and Neith, very easy to play. Their kits are very self-explanatory. They've got mobility. Neith, interestingly enough, can have an impact on the rest of the map when she is, with her ultimate. And then Apollo, it's really those global rotations. And I forgot one. Apollo, it's really those global rotations. One of the things that newer players don't do very well, they don't rotate, right? There's a fight in the mid lane. I'm supposed to be there, and I'm not. Well, every single other one of these gods, Jingwei, maybe you can back and get there. Neith, you can fire off an ultimate. But Apollo, you hit that 4 button, and you're there. So that was my reasoning behind that.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them, easy kits.
Yeah,
I forgot Hachiman. What do you think about Hachiman?
Very intuitive. Pretty much everything kind of does. The lane pretty much works out for itself. So you have good clear, you have good escapability, you can sustain the lane forever. You're basically, as long as you want to, you basically stay there for an extended period of time. You don't have to worry about anything. It's easy go.
Yeah, definitely the double dash escapes between his ultimate and his 3 are awesome. And also, pretty much every new player is horrible at mana management in general, in any role. And so having that passive that gives you mana and also the Hunter's Blessing as well, you're never going to run out of mana on Hachi, which means you can spam your abilities to clear. You're always going to have mana up. You're always going to have your ult up. And you just zoom down the lane if anybody comes. Cool. Right. Moving on. Cernunnos and Cupid.
Yep. They're good lane hunters. They don't really fall behind anybody. They have good fight, box potential, and you're not losing anything either. They have really big circles, you can't miss them. They have lifesteal in their kit or healing, because again, it's in lane. But the main thing is just the big and translate to early fights, mid fights, and
yeah, this is kind of where I would almost say, like, yeah, these guys have a dash and they have decent clear abilities like everybody else. But the neat thing about Cernunnos and Cupid is that even if you're a couple levels down, if you make it to a team fight and you hit a big ult on lots of people, you could be 5 levels down and you're still going to have a huge impact on your team fight. So even if you do manage to fall behind because you're flexing with these gods or you're not confident, you show up and throw up and toss your ultimate out, these 2 gods are gonna have an impact for sure. The healing's great, the sustain's great, they have great clear, but I definitely I like these 2 in particular. Shout outs to Shook, he's a big Cupid main. He does. All right. Moving on, these are kind of like, we're getting into like the mid tier of gods. This is kind of like, you know what, if you master these top 8 and you want to flex into something else, you know, I certainly suggest these ones. You know, this is not the be all and end all if you're good at one of these gods, or if you feel like, you know, hey, you know what, I'm a badass Scotty player because she just got buffed. You know, definitely you can play it, right? Don't worry about that. But it's not about these gods being particularly weak at all. It's just that we would recommend these top 8 before we recommended these ones. I'll start. Chernobog, the reason I have him here is he's kind of just a worse Apollo. Apollo has more freedom of mobility, but for the same reasons that Chernobog or that Apollo's good, Chernobog is good, right? So I can get to a team fight that I'm supposed to be at that I'm not really quickly. He's got good safety in his dash. His kit's a little bit harder to understand and pull off well. You know, I don't really think you're ever going to find a new player that's juking into walls to avoid an Ares ult or a Cupid heart bomb or to immune some damage, right? People aren't very good at that stuff. So he definitely has a more complex kit. What do you think about Chiron? I hate Chiron.
I love Chiron. Actually, really, like, probably the easiest team fight hunter you can play. You don't ever have to be in any kind of danger to do well in a team fight. You kind of sit back. If your team's in trouble, you can throw out a cleanse. But the main thing about Chiron is just long range damage and staying as far away as possible. Your ult goes through the whole entire team fight. And pretty much all you have to do, just hit your snipes, press your 2, do your job.
Do you think new players are going to pull off the Chiron cleanse?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not, but it is there.
We can hope, right?
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think he's also really safe. I think the fact that you know, his giddy up has a knock up in it and it's got a really long distance. You know, the travel time is pretty long, but I mean, he's quick. He can get himself out of danger. Great. You have the redemption on the ultimate. Like you said, the team fight ult, you can fire through walls and you know, you just still have an impact. I completely agree. Chiron's a good guy. Gotti. This was your recommendation.
Yeah.
I don't like, because she doesn't have a mobility option. I always rate Scotty lower, but I'm interested. Well, I mean, I guess she does have a mobility option, but
I personally think she's a bit easier. Everything in her kit kind of just, you have to focus on one person, and that's pretty much it. A whole lot of lockdown for her. So as a new player, like, hitting autos is pretty difficult. So you kind of just honestly just throw your dog on the person and get a few abilities, a few autos. You can miss some, still probably gonna kill them.
Right.
So she is pretty easy.
well, the dog does all the damage for you anyway.
Pretty much, yeah. That's why I kind of put her there.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, and she does have some mobility in the 3, right? You throw it down the ground, you step on it, you get a big speed boost. You can kind of get out, but she's a little bit more susceptible to ganks than a lot of these other gods, for sure. Soul, I mean, you know, it's magical ADC, right? Good sustain. She's got the immunity in her 3. You know, the heat management's probably a little tough for new players, but you know, I think that's something you can learn probably pretty quickly. She's got the heal on her 1. You can build early cheap lifesteal, instant power in the Bancrofts.
Pop a helmet on your head, you're safe from any kind of gank, any like physical assassin, even like any hunters as well. Since
She melts towers late game too, like she just crushes them. Yep. So good option there. She's got a decent team fight ultimate. If you can hit it, little tricky, I'd guess. If you were on, I remember trying to hit that ability on console, and it was certainly a little more difficult because you got to draw the line, so it's a little more challenging. But as far as laning goes, and not falling behind, Soul's a good option here. Shiba Lanky. I had him previously rated way higher because of the stun and his ult. But I think I think one of my first videos was actually like what gods you should play, and it was Jingwei, Izanami, and Shiba Lanky. But when they removed that stun, I mean, it kind of took away a lot of his utility. But he's still a safe god, right? I mean, like, what do you think about X-Ball?
kind of same thing as Soul. You just pop him in lane. Kind of clears, doesn't really. He does lose matchups, but that's not the main focus of him. You can kind of sit back, auto, farm up to late game, and get bees.
So this is for somebody who wants to kind of hang on and just sit in lane and chill out and not. You're not pressuring. You're not invading. You're not going for kills level 1 or level 10 or anything really, right? Shiba Lanky's a good sit back and farm. He's got CC immunity on his dash. Really good distance on that too. And then I guess his ult, even though it doesn't have the stun on it anymore, it's still pretty valuable, right?
Yeah, it still has a really big impact too. You don't have to be in a fight anyway. You just kind of again sit in lane and help your team.
And just a quick tip on that: make sure you guys are ulting whenever anybody's ganking. It doesn't have to be a huge team fight. It doesn't have to be your team running away that you have to feel like you need to peel with this thing. Anytime anybody's fighting, hit that 4 button, especially if you're sitting in lane, because you'll get those assists. You'll get that extra gold, and you know, even though you're all the way across the map, it's the same thing as like Neath and Apollo and a few and Chernobog, right? Just because you're on the other side of the map doesn't mean you can't have an impact. Shiba Lanky is another one of those good gods for that. All right. Moving on into the questionable territory. I had AMC and Rama. The only reason I had these two here is Ram's got really great early clear, like level 1 I think is his strongest, right? He's got awesome early clear. He's got a little mobility. He can buy himself some time when he goes up in his ultimate, but other than that, you know, he's kind of one of those sit back, farm, and hang on for late game gods.
Super easy. You only have to focus about your autos. I guess there is some like skill cap with your ult, but I don't really worry about it. Your autos, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rama's one of those characters where if you don't utilize anything about his kit except the attack speed steroid and you just hit your autos, like, you're fine, right? Like you have to worry about anything else. You don't need to be pulling off the greatest roll-in cripples or, you know, using your 1 really effectively through walls or anything like that. Like just spam your steroid, hit your autos. Quick tip on Rama that I see a lot of people do is everybody likes to use Ram as a way to confirm objectives away from the enemy team, right? So we got a ward on Gold Fury. I run to the red buff. I hit my ult. I go up in the air. And the one thing that pisses me off is I always see everybody try and fire all 3 shots into the Gold Fury at once, right? Don't do that. Fire 2 off into the distance somewhere else so that your 3rd and final shot does the most damage so you can hit it right at the exact point. You don't want to give them any time to get their own confirm on it. That's just something I saw somebody do it the other day, and I was like, why would you use the strongest shot to do that? I don't know. You ever heard of anybody doing that, or am I do that? You do that?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Oh shit! All right. But no, anyway, yeah. So fire two shitty shots off into the ether, and then get that last strong one. Make sure it's dead on target, and you hit it right at the right time. He's a really good objective confirmer. I love stealing objectives with him. All right. Moving on into what I call butt cheeks territory, the B class. Up front is Artemis. I have my reasons. What are your thoughts on a new player? And I mean like new player on Artemis.
Probably don't touch her.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah, she takes a lot of. You gotta be really aggressive with her level 1. A lot of new players can't really do that, but if you are a looking player and you're new, just keep spamming those 3s on the other ADC. And kind of same thing with late game hunters. Kind of sit back, you bide your time, and when you get to those late game team fights or even mid game team fights, that all is going to do a lot of work. Same thing with your
Yeah, I kind of look at her as like a worse Cernanos in Cupid, right? She doesn't have a dash. She's incredibly vulnerable. She doesn't have great clear. It's not. I mean, it's there, but it's not great. She doesn't have a particularly strong early game. She's not one of those gods that you can sit under a tower and just farm the wave and sit in lane, because you're gonna lose so much gold to the tower or health to the enemy minion wave, because you're just gonna get hard out cleared. It takes you forever to clear. I think she's a worse version of these two because she still does have that team fight ult. And if you show up late game and you drop the boar into the team fight, you're still going to have an impact. You could still turn the tide of a fight even if you're 5 levels down, which is the only reason she's not down in dumpster tier, is because of good old Tusky. Cool. All right, down into even further butt cheeks territory. B category. Anhur and Hou-Yi.
Yep.
I'm actually conflicted on the Anhur because he does have decent early clear. His kit is kind of simple to understand if you use it at a really basic level.
Yeah.
But I feel like being good with Anhur is very hard. I don't know.
You need to be aggressive, and as a new player, that is very hard to pull off. He does dominate the lane. He does have good clear, like Ray said, but you need to really push like early game. You need to jump in, you throw it, to really get any kind of value out of him. He's a good god, but
yeah, you have to play him all in or not. And most new players in general, in every role, like I play with people who are new to the game in general. They don't want to fight for whatever reason. They're always super cautious, whether it's the mid lane, whether it's jungle, right? All the junglers want to farm, all the mid laners just want to get their stacks, all the supports just want to throw out Geb shields, and that's it. Same thing with ADCs. Nobody wants to do like the flying spread eagle into a team fight or into an enemy ADC, and at risk of blowing it, right? He's kind of one of those ones where it's almost a trap because his clear is so good early on in the game. It's almost like a Neath, right? Where a Neath without the ultimate, right? Where you can clear pretty easily, you can stay even for a while, but especially in the late game, he just doesn't do anything. You really have to abuse that early pressure to do well on him, and the skill cap on him is just incredibly high. I mean, there's a reason he's, when people 1v1 each other for bragging rights, it's always on her. And I think there's a good reason. Cool. Hou-Yi. Actually, so I kind of debated internally about this one, because you use Hou-Yi well, like you really got to manage his bounces, but the rest of his kit really isn't that. I mean, if you played at a basic level, it's kind of,
yeah. The one is really awkward. Like, you have to use your 2 first, set up your little your mark on character that you want, and on him afterwards, one comes out very slow too. So he's just mechanically. So like, his kit is easy to use, but it's just hard to hit.
So why wouldn't you put him down in the dumpster tier?
Honestly, just because of his ult. It's another circle. It's gonna make an impact at all stages of the game. If you're hurting
slow on it too.
Slow too, yeah.
I don't play Hou-Yi for good reason. You don't want to see me play
mark
Hou-Yi.
the person first. It's also good if you're getting out cleared or you're getting really pressured in by another hunter. Just play clear for itself. You can back if you need to back, or if like your purple's coming up, you can throw the ult out and get your purple.
Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't put him down here for the exact same reasons, right? The ult is still impactful. He's safe. If you play him really basic, fine. But again, if you're a really good ADC, I would consider playing some of these gods. And if you're a beginner, I just wouldn't do it at all. All right. Freya down in C tier. She's the only one here. Do you know why I put Freya down in C tier? Because she's a
Okay.
But anyway, I don't like Freya anymore at all. I think she's terrible. They've nerfed everything good about her. They've nerfed everything good about the items that she uses. She's not safe. She doesn't do anything in team fights. I mean, a lot of this is meta driven. She used to have really strong clear, you know, just sit under the tower, but I think she's in such a poor state right now that he kind of has to end up down here, especially for new players.
I haven't touched her. I wouldn't recommend her at all.
We're almost done. We have one more category to go.
Okay.
This is the dumpster tier. This is do not touch. You probably saw Wowy play this at some point, or some of these at some point, because he was screwing around, and you said, or you know what, you saw it in an SPL game, and you're like, wow, I really want to try that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You're not Wowy. You're not Snoopy. Don't do it. All right? Shall we? Yep. All right.
Hurts.
Camazotz.
My boy.
Kronos. Kali. Loki. Olorin. Set. Morgan. Thoth. And Uller. Ooh, God, that one stung.
Yep.
Oh. Much as you want to see more Ullers on the map that suck. But, no, I mean, I think a lot of these, like Camazotz, Kali, Set, Morgan, and Thoth, you know, you're going to see this played at a SPL level. You're going to see somebody who's very confident in the ADC lane play these gods. It's because they're really good at the game, right? You can try it if you want. Just know that you're probably wasting your and your team's time, especially if you're new to the role. But don't just go, hey, I don't really play ADC. I saw Wowy playing Camazotz. I'm going to play Camazotz. Wowy knows what he's doing. You're not Wowy. Are they Wowy?
Hope not.
No, God, no.
You don't want to be me.
Nope. Yikes. But anyway, yeah, for those gods in particular, I wouldn't do it. You know, you'll see the occasional Wowy Chunga in there as well. Don't do that either. I recommend against that. But no, in all seriousness, there's a couple of good ones in here that you see kind of often. They seem to work well in lane, but the reality of it is that they are either extremely complicated gods, they need a good team around them, they need lots of farm or time in the case of Kronos, or they're incredibly complicated to play. And so starting off with that, Kronos, I think he's complex. I think they nerfed a lot about the items that he uses. I think the average player, I mean, the abilities aren't that hard to hit, but you know, making fluid use of them and making use of the ult and understanding where you're going to end up and all that stuff and thinking 8 seconds backwards or whatever it is like, I think that'd be really hard for a new player. Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
It's really tempting to pick Kronos because of the extra life that you get if you go all in, but I don't know that I would do that for a new player. And again, it has less to do with Kronos. I mean, he's in a bad state meta-wise right now because of the nerfs and the nerfs to his items, but I can't see myself recommending Kronos over any of these other gods we've listed here before to a new player. I don't know that I would ever be like, yeah, no, go ahead, go play Kronos.
Abilities honestly come out a little too slow, and that's going to be difficult for new players to hit. And like you said before, not easy.
Loki, don't play Loki. Loki is garbage. If you play Loki, you're garbage. Loki has been nerfed. Loki's been nerfed so many times because he's annoying. You may succeed in lane with Loki. You may be annoying in lane with Loki. You may ult the enemy at ADC a couple of times and shut them down and piss him off, but he just doesn't do anything. He's a bad god. Stop it. Don't do it. Cut it out. Quit it. That's my rant. Olorin. Talk to me about Olorin. He's so easy, right? Like,
he's kind of weird. He's so weird. I don't know. He can like stay in lane for a little bit, but his boxing's really difficult because his 2 is just like you have to like build it up and it comes out slow when you shoot it and someone has to be locked down for it. It's basically just all depending on his ult, and his ult's super hard to use as well. It just, for a new player, there's too much going on. It's way too hard.
yeah, I think the big thing for me about Olorin, and I've played like 5 games with him, and I just got so frustrated I stopped. But is if you don't have a team around you with Olorin, like it's a really, really good team fight ult. Like a really good team fight ult. But if you don't have a team around you, you're dead. Constantly on cooldown. He doesn't really have that turn potential to blow somebody up that dives him unless he has his ultimate up and he hits the knock up at the exact same time. It's the only way you're ever going to fry a jungler that's trying to, you know, beat your ass. Other than that, I mean, I just don't, again, I don't know, like, yeah, he's got the great team fight ult, but I don't know that I would ever recommend him over anybody else here for somebody who's new. What else? I already told you guys about Set and Morrigan. Don't play the Morrigan. If you're a new player and you barely understand ADC, you really shouldn't be playing Morrigan at all. Yes, she has good clear. Yes, she has mobility. Yes, she has an invis. Yes, she can do a lot of damage, but you have to be so aware of everything that's going on in the map, what abilities you can use from other gods. Don't do it. Same thing with Thoth and Set. You guys saw that in the SPL. Doesn't mean you should do it. Almost nobody in casuals is running this kind of like leave the ADC alone thing. You know, you're not going to see that in your games, especially if you're a newer player. And then finally, the last.
Uller.
I know.
Yep.
You don't like Uller, right?
My favorite god.
Oh.
He doesn't deserve this. I can see why. So he's kind of like the on her. He has really good clear. He can really push a lead. He can really be aggressive, but his aggression is completely mechanical. His skill ceiling is really high too, so like hitting your abilities, jumping in, if you're a new player, probably isn't going to happen. You're not going to get much out of the character. I would wait a bit, you know, play a few ADCs, kind of figure stuff out. If you really want to learn something hard and difficult, I think Uller is probably your best bet.
Pick up Uller. There you go. You heard it from the man. I completely agree. I think, you know, playing Uller at a base level, even, you know, just barely squeaking by is tough to begin with. I think, you know, his laning is, I wouldn't say it's awkward, but you definitely have to push your early advantage, especially like the pre-level 5 before the enemy gets their ultimates. You got to really know how to abuse that. I don't know what your thoughts are. Am I right there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I did something good. He told me to say that actually before we started recording, but no, I completely agree. I think Uller, it takes a certain finesse of a player to play Uller. You know what? Play most of these other gods before you pick them up. He was actually the last god that I ever mastered on console because it was so daunting for me to try and pick him up. I don't say, you know, don't be afraid of picking him up because he's hard, but yeah, I would definitely make sure I'm comfortable in the lane itself and what goes on in the lane before I try and learn a new god. I think that's a common theme amongst a lot of these gods is, you know, as you're learning, do you want to learn the lane and the god at the same time? Or do you want an easy god so you can learn the lane? And that's why the top end of this list is so good, right? It allows you to focus on, you know, what are things that I'm getting stuck on in lane? My dog is losing her marbles. What are the things I'm getting stuck in lane? Where am I making my mistakes? On something that's more forgiving, and then you can move into the things that aren't later on down the line. That's it. That's all I had. Unless you got any more weird ADC picks for us, but I think we'll stop there.
Let's not go deeper.
You don't want to do a Discordia ADC or
No.
Daji ADC or anything like that. But anyway, thank you guys for dropping by. Make sure you guys follow Wowy on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube. I will have the editor supreme Charlie put his links up on the screen somewhere. It's Wowy on Twitch, Wowy _ Smite on Twitter, and what's yours?
Wowy on YouTube.
Wowy on YouTube. Great, awesome. Follow him if you want to get into the ADC role. He's got great gameplay. You can ask him a ton of questions in his chat on Twitch. He'll help you out, and you can read all of his memes on Twitter. But thank you guys very much. I hope this was helpful. Please let us know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, if you think your favorite god got screwed and we should be burned at the stake for it. Let us know, and definitely let us know in the comments or on Twitter if this was helpful to you, or if you feel like you guys are getting better because of this list. We love hearing that. I've heard a lot of great comments about the solo lane one, the support one, and the jungler one, and yeah, I love hearing that stuff. So again, smash the subscribe button. If you did like this stuff, I'm gonna keep putting out videos like this. We're gonna have vlog content, we're gonna have how-to content. Maybe one of these days I'll do a how-to on one of these ADCs that I suck at so much. But thanks a bunch, and we'll see you on the next video.